And here is the ORA tank filled with corals, fish, clams, inverts, all tank raised by a company in Florida that's been around for over 20 years. These guys have spent so much time aquaculturing to benefit us, the hobbyist. And they grow everything without taking from the ocean. Well, you have to start with something, so something came from the ocean. Check out their website. It is filled with all kinds of pictures and information about what they produce and what they're making in-house. Look at all those clownfish. The best part of MACNA is to see a tank filled with all these different clownfish all combined together. It's a beautiful display. It shows all the different animals, including mandarins and dottybacks and assessors. It's just a huge cluster. Blennies. It's a cool, cool setup. So I have been looking forward to seeing them for years. And finally, I got to get on premises and do a behind-the-scenes tour, or I should just say, a tour which they never ever do. Everything is top secret. They literally don't let people tour the facilities. They don't have the time for it. The people at ORA work 7 days a week to grow out fish, corals, and invertebrates, and to make sure that all their livestock is well cared for. Check out this coral. I didn't know it existed. I got one myself as soon as I got back home and had my fish store order it. That's a green planet, and I can't wait to put it in my reef. Right now it's in my quarantine system. I hope you enjoy this extremely rare peek into ORA's facilities, and I'll tell you more about it in a bit. Is it 90 degrees?
Yes, it's definitely 90 degrees outside.
Okay, so we came inside here. This here is ORA, and this is a place in Florida that we couldn't even find on the map.
No.
We just drove around and followed the blue dot, and it got us here magically.
Yeah, that was the second turnaround because first time my phone decided to tell us to get out of the car and start walking.
That's true, it did. It totally said, just start walking to your destination. And we're like, this can't be right.
Hi, my name is Dustin Dorton. I'm the president of ORA, Oceans, Reefs, and Aquariums. And right now we're inside of our packing facility. We're overlooking some of our clam holding tanks right now. Let me turn the water off so I can see them a little more clearly. Sure. These are from our clam farm in the Marshall Islands. So all these clams are raised from the egg. And we spawn them and raise them in land-based tanks. Some of the clams are grown their entire life on our land-based clam farm. Others are grown in cages in the lagoon where they're tended. It's a pretty slow process to grow these guys. These maximas that you see here are about, we measure them in centimeters, they're 4 to 5 centimeters, so about 1.25 to 1.5 inches. And they're actually almost 2 to 2.5 years old at this size. So
I'd say they're gorgeous.
It takes a long time.
And you're using metal halide lighting for this, and it's on a moving rack. So
yeah.
You're simulating back and forth movement?
Yeah, it's just a way to cover more area without, without having to put lights over the top of the entire system.
And these are Durasa.
Yep. Yeah, the Durasa grow quite a bit faster. These clams are the same age or possibly even younger than the Maxima clams on the left.
There's more over here.
These are mostly gold grade clams, but there's a few black and whites or black and colors that are mixed in here as well.
You know, I'm really picky about clams, and the only ones I like are blue.
Yeah.
Everything else I'm like, don't care.
Unfortunately, you can't breed for a specific coloration in clams, so it's pretty random what you get.
You have lots of them, though.
Yeah.
How many clams do you go through a year, if you could say go through?
Oh, a lot. Thousands and thousands of them.
They're a popular item.
Yeah. I think our last shipment of clams, there were some larger, nicer ones in it. These guys just arrived, I think, a week or so ago. So they're still settling in a little. There's some nice blue.
And I do see the black and whites. Now, all these types of livestock we can find on your website.
Yes.
but they are purchased from your fish store.
There's actually some little Crocea clams back there. There's 3 of them in a row. Actually, a few more than that. There's 6 back there.
These guys?
Yep, yeah, that's Crocea. Yes, correct. You can find pretty much everything we produce, photos and descriptions on our website, orafarm.com. But we don't sell direct to the consumer, so you'd have to purchase our products through a retailer.
So do you sell to all the fish stores, or do you sell to the distributors that go to the fish store? Am I saying it right?
We ship the vast majority of our products go straight to the retail fish store. There's some limited sales to other major wholesalers and distributors around the country, and then we do ship to wholesalers and distributors like outside of the country as well. So these are blue neon gobies. These fish are raised here at ORA. It's actually a native Florida species you can find, down in the Keys or pretty much anywhere in the Caribbean, actually. And these guys are cool because they actually clean parasites off fish. So sometimes you might see pictures of them in the wild where there's something around in a grouper's mouth or something like that. And when they get used to people, they'll actually swim and land on your hand when you're in the tank, and
like a cleaner shrimp.
Yeah, try to pull the hairs out of your hands and whatnot. So they're pretty cool fish.
And these are raised by ORA.
Yep. Yeah, everything we sell is either raised here or raised on our farm in the Marshalls.
And how many different species of fish are you guys raising at this point?
Ooh, I'm not sure how many we currently have in production. Probably 50 or 60 to date. To date, we've done. I think we just passed 120 species. So from all raised, from the egg. So the clams are included in that, and a couple of shrimp that we've raised as well. These are the shark-nosed gobies, not found in Florida, but they are found in the Bahamas. Our broodstock for these guys originated from Curacao.
What do they do? Are they also a cleaner?
Also a cleaner. Yeah, they don't clean as much as the blue neon gobies do, but they're still a cleaner goby.
I like how you have a clownfish in almost every tank. There's always one clown.
Which one did you find? Is it?
It's kind of going around in a circle here.
Yeah, sometimes they'll take with the maroon clowns that they're so aggressive. They'll put like the gold nuggets. They'll put like one per tank. So they don't pick on each other's tails before they get shipped out.
Oh, there she is.
So this tank's a mixture of actually a few ocellaris, and there are some blood orange maroons in here as well. They're a hybrid of the maroon clown and an ocellaris. It actually makes a real nice colored fish that's bigger than an ocellaris, but not quite as mean as a maroon. That is a regular maroon in there too. It's kind of a little bit of a mishmash in this tank.
And these are all sellable size.
Yeah, so everything in these 40-gallon tanks here are.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah. This is holding for fish from our hatcheries prior to being shipped out. So they'll usually come over here a day or several days before they're ready to ship. And they're taken off feed, or they're switched on to just a frozen diet only, so they can kind of purge their systems out so that they don't pollute the bag water too much during transit. Most of our fish are packed and shipped overnight within the U.S., but we do a lot of international shipping as well, where transport times can be 48 or 72 hours or even more. So it's real important that the fish are conditioned, if you will, and ready for that long of a journey. So these are Camelhara blennies. It's a a myacanthid species, or a fang blenny, related to the canary blennies or the striped blennies. These guys are found in the far south of Japan, where our broodstock came from, and to date we're the only farm that's produced this fish. It's a common fish in where it's found in the wild, but it's extremely rare in the trade. The total number of wild fish shipped into the U.S. is probably maybe 30 to 40 fish, and I think all but 2 of those live here at ORA, so it's pretty uncommon in the trade. That's the blood orange clown again, so that's the hybrid of the ocellaris and the maroon.
Oh, okay.
The pair actually was a gift to us from a store here in Florida. Probably not a pair, just 2. Kind of tough to say on the grading on that fish. It'd probably be either a domino or an extreme misbar black ocellaris. Usually a domino would only have 1 spot on it, but that one guy has the tiny little bit of the midbar left. A little bit on the swollen one too. Yeah, they're labeled extreme misbar blacks, but you can probably call it a domino as well. So this is an order getting packed up and ready to get sent out. This is all one store here. All of our bags are, almost all the fish are shipped individually, 1 per bag. Some are not, like the gobies can be packed multiple fish to a bag, but they're all labeled with genus, species, and like we have our internal code for what the fish is.
And you're adding oxygen.
Geez. Yep, that guy got stuck up there. Yeah, so these bags are heat sealed shut instead of clipped or rubber banded, yeah, this area in here is all pure oxygen, and then it gets heat sealed, and yeah, from there it gets FedExed or sent on an airplane all around the world.
And it goes down the conveyor and all the way to the FedEx truck, right?
Yeah, not automatically, unfortunately. It's still a pretty labor-intensive process. So we also will clip bags shut for the larger bags. So this is just a ocellaris clownfish, just packed a little bit differently.
These are Speedy.
These are clipped shut, so you can.
So you were able to grab the bag in there and just pinch it.
Yeah. So it's an automatic machine. It's pneumatically staples the bag shut.
Done.
It's a little faster than rubber banding.
Super fast.
This would be an example of one of our larger shipments. It's going to a store here in Florida. Everything gets packed into its individual bags, and like I said, will either be clipped shut or heat sealed shut, like this. And everything gets put again into liner bags. This is airline regulations require this extra bag here.
This has to be shipped by air even though it's in Florida?
Well,
You said a store in Florida.
actually, this one would go. Actually, this is close enough where it would just go ground UPS.
I heard your vehicle drives around. There's like a ORA bus that drives around. So Johnny was willing to drive me 2 hours north from the airport to ORA so I could visit the facilities. And we walked through that holding section where Dustin gave us a tour of what was going on in the packing area. Then we went into one building after another, and there was a whole bunch of these buildings in succession, and each one was filled with tanks and tanks and tanks filled with fish. From big tanks, I say big, I mean, 40 gallons or larger, with tiny itty bitty dots of life. It was awesome seeing these itty bitty little fish. And then, of course, I found bigger fish, and then the further we worked our way from building to building, the fish grew in size to larger and larger, where they were getting close to the point where they were ready to be sold. It was pretty fascinating, and I wish we could have filmed that part, but that was not acceptable. When we got to the building that holds all the live goods, the live foods, that was also, you can't go in. You can stand here at the doorway and you can look inside, and I could see a guy working in there with several different types of live foods. And the building, of course, went way back, and I could only see so far. But that was kind of cool. And then after we got done with all of that, and I mean, these troughs, some of the fish troughs were massive, 500, 1,000, 2,000 gallons filled with these fish, just swarming. It's so cool. And to think they raised them all, they hatched them all from eggs. It's incredible. So the next part here is going to be the coral greenhouse, where they grow all the corals out under sunlight. And again, we couldn't film the actual troughs because the workers were in there working with all the frags, but we were able to go ahead and film the giant sumps, show you the corals that are in these sumps. I mean, these sumps are filled with treasure and these big, healthy fish, and Dustin's going to give us some more information about how the company operates.
Okay, so right now we're inside of our coral greenhouse, and looking into one of our big sumps. These coral systems are about 5,000 gallons apiece, with the majority of that water being held here in the sump. Our sump's a little different than a normal than a normal home aquarium sump, in that we can fill it with corals and grow them under natural sunlight.
All these trash cans are for dead corals and trash?
No, those are our surge devices, or our wave makers. So those fill up, and when the water reaches above the height of that elbow, they start to siphon and all surge out real quickly. So it's kind of an inexpensive way to create random flow in the tanks without having to have lots of power heads and cords and pumps and things like that. Yeah, it's we're already now at 40-some employees, about 45 employees or so here at our facility in Fort Pierce, and then in Marshalls we have additional employees there as well for our clam farm. Well, we're out of space on corals, so there's some corals that we're kind of scaling back on so we can make room to grow other newer ones. And then on the fish side, we're constantly raising new species, usually around 5 to 10 or so new species a year. We're working on some stuff with some damsels right now, and trying to get scooter bunnies up into commercial production, and have a few other odds and ends that we're working with.
Well, I want to thank you for giving us this tour of the whole place and letting me see everything, even things I couldn't share.
Yeah,
I really
sorry.
I really appreciate you letting me see it.
We don't do tours. We're entirely closed to the public, just for biosecurity reasons. We can't have people going around between the systems and touching things accidentally, and it's a real health concern for the fish, and it's also real time consuming. I mean, we're it sounds like we have a lot of employees, but we have a lot of square footage here to take care of. So we've kind of maintained like a closed door policy over the years, so it kind of adds a bit of mystery to it, I guess, if you will. But it's not for any particular reason. It's just to keep us focused on growing fish and keeping the fish healthy.
Well, you said you only work 7 days a week, right?
No, I don't. Well, I do a lot of times actually,
You
but
said we're never closed.
yeah, we've never been closed a single day since we opened in '96. So even during the hurricanes, we had people staying here on site in a hurricane shelter. The hurricanes in 2004, when we got hit by 2 or 3 in a row there. So we're always here. Our primary focus is just keeping the fish in production and healthy, and trying to raise new fish and produce an aquacultured product for hobbyists. We do some industry trade shows, so like Global Pet Expo is really the main one we do. That's every year here in Florida. And then we do MACNA, which will be coming up here in San Diego. But that's really it. We don't do a lot of the smaller. Well, I guess they're big now, but we don't do like Reefapaloozas and that type of thing. We're strictly business to business sales, and we tend to try to focus our efforts on trade shows that are oriented to retailers more so than hobbyists. It's a big ordeal to pack this stuff up and transport it around and get it set up and put it in a booth for 3 days. It's hard on the fish, and
it always looks beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
Your tanks, it's one of my favorite tanks to photograph at Magna.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Dustin.
Sure.
So the guys are not endangered. ORA took them all.